Hello and thanks for joining us on Nationwide, coming to you from the stable of NTA. I am Ogechi Paul. Now details. The federal government has approved the establishment of National Council on Hydrocarbons as a strategic measure towards finding lasting solutions to the socioeconomic issues in the oil-rich Niger Delta. Minister of State Petroleum Dr. Emmanuel Ibe Kachiku announced this while briefing newsmen at the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. He says the council is to serve as an ombudsman that meets in extraordinary times to review policies and actions of government towards achieving stability in the nation's petroleum industry.
It should be a gathering of people from the business sector, people from the oil sector, people from the communities where oil is produced, ministries that are directly or indirectly affected by some of the policies that we roll out in the Ministry of Petroleum. The criticality of that is that as we continue the dialogue that we've been having and preparing for much more intensive dialogue with militants, creating such a fora enables everybody who has an interest, one way or the other, to converge and to help develop a thinking process that will guide policies in this sector.
State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that 3 other memos were also approved by the council, including the one that seeks to expand the service delivery capacity of the Transmission Company of Nigeria with the purchase of new transformer for Shiroro, Oshogbo and Kambotso power substations.
To maintain the existing transmission capacity so that as the progress of our incremental power initiative expands and achieves its purpose, the transmission system as the transporter is able to competently deliver the power.
This is coming from the judiciary, where the trial of the Senate President, Abubakar Bukola Saraki, has over alleged false declaration of assets, has resumed at the Code of Conduct Tribunal with yet another setback as the tribunal turned down an application by the defense for the chairman to disqualify himself from presiding. Aliyu Tukur has details.
After over 3 months break, the Senate President arrived at the tribunal surrounded by security personnel, political associates and colleagues to hear the ruling on the motion filed by one of his counsel, Paul Irokoro. The motion is seeking the chairman of the tribunal, Alhaji Umar, to disqualify himself for the second time again from participating in the trial over alleged biased disposition. The motion came as a result of a statement by the chairman of the tribunal on 7th of June, where he said that the delay tactics employed by the defense team will not reduce the consequences the defendant will face at the end of the trial. Before the ruling, the chairman said his comment was made with a free mind and without prejudice to the Senate President and the trial. Delivering the ruling, the chairman said he cannot afford to step down from the trial because doing so will automatically stop the trial. He pointed that the 1999 Constitution conferred jurisdiction on asset declaration matters on the tribunal only, not any other court, and also makes provision for the chairman and 2 other members, adding that the moment he disqualifies himself, the tribunal will collapse because it must have a chairman. Dismissing the application, the chairman said the defendant can use the outcome of the ruling as a ground for appealing. After turning down the application filed by the defendant, the chairman of the tribunal adjourned the case to 7th and 8th of November for continuation. In Abuja, Aliyu Tukur, NTA News.
As the nation continues in the fight against corruption, acting chairman of the Economic Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, has told Nigerians to expect more investigations, convictions and recovery of stolen assets. Ibrahim Magu said this at the unveiling of a logo of Creative Youth Initiative Against Corruption held in Abuja. Edino Justice filed a report.
The initiative, a non-governmental organization, is aimed at inculcating into young children moral values that will enable them to shun and fight corruption even at their levels. The EFCC acting chairman said the commission was equipped more than ever before to fight a winnable and sustainable fight against corruption in the country.
Expect to see more investigations, more arrests, more trials. Our children must see that there is a future away from corruption and be encouraged to take that path of honor.
The initiator of the forum, Mrs. Foluke Michael, said the project will impact in children ethical values through mentorship, creativity, and use of online applications.
Our overall goal is to contribute to nation development through creative development with focus on war against corruption. We are going to be working with their creativity to develop Nigeria.
Other speakers and the children, through different presentations, demonstrated their resolve to stand against corruption in Nigeria. The project is one of the preventive initiatives of EFCC, which says the fight requires the support of all Nigerians. Arena Justice, NTA News.
Meanwhile, legal practitioners have called for the strict enforcement of laws and the adoption of other methods, such as plea bargain, in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. They made a suggestion while examining the role of the legal profession in fighting corruption on NTA's current affairs program, Good Morning Nigeria. Patricia Samiluba reports.
Corruption has done serious damage to Nigeria and Nigerians, leaving a trail of poverty, decay and deprivation as observed by analysts. As the current administration continues to enjoin all Nigerians to embrace the fight against corruption, the role of the legal profession is again eliciting discourse. While speaking on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria, Professor Epiphany Azingi suggested that the nation looks into the requirements of the burden of proof on the prosecution in corruption cases, which has not been effective.
We must start questioning the Constitution even, this presumption of innocence. Because in the continental system, they say you are presumed guilty until the contrary is proved. Here, constitutionally, we say you are presumed innocent. So you see, we have a fundamental problem.
Another senior advocate of Nigeria, Yusuf Olaolu Ali, says the lack of diligent prosecution is partly responsible for the failure of corruption case in the courts. He advised that proper plea bargain should be considered.
Plea bargain is not a bad thing. It's the way we practice it. As long as it's transparent, as long as there are rules that will guide it, as long as people will know that X, Y person has done this, and importantly, we should also be able to to know what happens to all the monies that are recovered as a result of plea bargain.
On his part, Justice Garba Tumaka believes the judiciary needs to be strengthened and properly equipped to deal with the many cases of corruption.
The total and financial independence of the judiciary, as it is right now, we still have that, as far as I'm concerned, only in the books.
In all, the guests advised Nigerians to abhor corruption and see that public monies are not looted in the first place, as this affects everyone negatively. In Abuja, Patricia A. Samiluba, NTA News.
Economic experts say the nation's financial downturn is surmountable through right policies and revamping the non-oil sector to boost growth. Tilato Ezerike reports that this was the standpoint of discussion on NTA's current affairs program, Tuesday Live.
Economic recession, a global challenge, dominates major discourse in this part of the globe on ways to get it right. Bodies like the European Union has advised Nigeria to devalue the naira to tackle recession, while others advocate the sale of national assets or cutting down unproductive spending. The country's economic downturn is attributed to factors like corruption and neglect of agriculture, solid minerals and manufacturing, which the Buhari administration is refocusing on to build a vibrant economy.
I know that good government is the only way to ensure prosperity and abundance for all. I remain resolutely committed to this objective.
Development, many believe, will propel growth for industrialization that should be supported by all.
Go to Dubai. 10, 15 years ago, Dubai was a desert. But today, that is where we Nigerians go to buy property, send our children to school. We Nigerians can do it if we have the will. Mr. President, sir, I know you mean well for this great nation. We must diversify in the area of agriculture.
We must target the export markets for agriculture and solid minerals. More fiscal policies and programs to encourage industrialists to invest in food processing.
For others, the need to intensify campaigns on made Nigerian products and protection of local industries.
Make sure that you make importation difficult. Engage the grassroots economy to create horizontal economic activities that will bring multiplier effect and trickle-down effect.
2008, American economy was in recession and threatening to collapse. How is America going to do it? We are going to support American industry. We are going to do whatever it takes to make sure that American products are bought all over the world.
Right.
Analysts say there are strong indications that Nigeria will overcome her economic challenge, particularly with the progressive actions of government huge investment in agriculture and the repairs of 4 refineries to save the country $10 billion yearly in importing fuel. Talat Ezerike, NTA News.
Still on the economy, Speaker House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara has assured Nigerians that the House will pursue all necessary provisions to ensure transparency, accountability and due process in the public service. He said that these are the inaugural meeting of the House Ad hoc Committee on Insurance. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Zumba filed the report.
On 19th July, a resolution was passed mandating the committee to investigate alleged fraudulent multi-billion naira cash payments to government officials by insurance companies and to ascertain government fixed and non-fixed assets by way of return on premiums. Speaker, represented by Deputy Leader, told the committee to compel the head of service of the Federation and other government agencies to provide details of all premiums.
General and related government assets within the last 3 years. Carry out an in-depth audit of the selection process and execution of such covers by government assets underwriters with the view of eradicating this fraudulent process.
Letters were forwarded to the head of service of the Federation, the Minister for Finance, head of all statutory government corporations, affected ministries and registered insurance companies in Nigeria, requesting for details of all insurance covers bought on behalf of and sold to the federal government of Nigeria during the years under review.
Out of 85 government corporations that have been invited, only 20 has responded in correspondence to the committee. That's about 25%. And for the insurance companies, it's only 28 out of 56.
Chairman of the committee, Representative Adekunle Akinlade, enjoined all affected organizations to unfailingly provide the required information in the prescribed format on or before Monday, 10th October 2016. From the National Assembly, Ifeanyi Zumba, NT News.
Now away from economy to some security-related matters now, the House of Representatives Committee on Navy says it has become imperative for government to improve its budgetary allocation to the Nigerian Navy if it must effectively discharge its responsibilities. This was the position of the committee while carrying out its oversight visits to the Eastern Naval Command in Calabar, Cross River State. Mobasi Adet completes the story.
The House Committee, led by Mr. Abdul Samad Dasuki, inspected the different formations and platforms of the Eastern Naval Command. With the facilities seen on ground, Mr. Dasuki harped on the need for government to intervene in funding and upgrading the operational facilities if security of the territorial waters must be guaranteed.
Sure, you've seen for yourself the jetties here, which in the first place, they shouldn't be there for now. We need to upgrade them to meet the 21st century challenges. And apart from that, we are looking at the ships, the gunboats. I think there's the need to even possibly overhaul them, get the modern boats. Lucky enough here in Nigeria.
Flag Officer Commanding Eastern Naval Command, Rear Admiral James Oluwole, highlighted some of the challenges confronting the command to include lack of sufficient platforms and other operational needs.
We need more platforms, the adequate platforms to tackle the threat that we are facing. And from all that we have seen, we need more boats, we need more capital ships, because we have different layers of defense. The backwaters require different assets. Beyond the territorial waters also require different assets.
The visit would afford the House of Representative members the opportunity to make appropriate legislations to tackle the challenges. In Calabar, Umar Basidate, NTA News.
Security strategy developed to track activities of vandals of national infrastructure is yielding positive results. The Commandant, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Akwa Ibom State, Obioju Obageli, stated this at the Security Strategy Review in Uyo. Clement Barikwi has details.
The commandant says the low crime report of damage on national infrastructure in Akwa Ibom State and its environs is due to the full implementation of NSCDC's crime strategy and the operational training of the officers on emerging crimes. She pledged the commitment of the NSCDC to protect national assets within their catchment area.
What you see here, power cables that were vandalized along Airport Road in this Akwa Ibom State. And men were privileged to have the information, and we got there on time, and we were able to arrest people that were attached to this vandalism. There were 5 of them. We have successfully prosecuted this case. Those people are in prison custody right away.
The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Akwa Ibom State has, within the last 6 months, arrested 26 vandals with 8 convictions and 20 vehicles used in various crimes forfeited to the federal government. The breakthroughs recorded within the last 6 months are further demonstrations that the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Akwa Ibom State has renewed commitment to ensure that national asset and critical infrastructure are well protected. In Uyo, Clement Barikwi, NTA News.
Thank you, Clement. Now to the creative subsector. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, is optimistic of the administration's commitment to harnessing the issue of youth unemployment in the country. The minister, who made this known at the 13th Abuja International Film Festival in Abuja, said if the creative industry is given adequate attention. Ngozi Chude reports.
It is the convergence of practitioners in Nollywood. Their goal is driven to promote an open climate for the diversity of African stories told by different countries and filmmakers. Declaring the film festival open, the Minister of Information and Culture says the Nigerian film industry, with its international appeal, is a catalyst as foreign exchange earner and therefore should be encouraged to optimally harness its potentials. He revealed that government is working towards driving a exchange mandate in this direction.
We are going to focus on the aspects of industry that will allow us to achieve creation of jobs and development of skilled and managerial abilities. 2, formalizing and growing the export of all aspects of the industry so that it becomes a significant foreign exchange earner for the country.
Over the last 12 years, the Abuja Film Festival has experienced its fair share of challenges. However, the organizers believe the purpose of connecting global audiences in this edition will fully be realized. Collaborating with the U.S. and Mexican embassies, the 13th Abuja International Film Festival will facilitate dialogue between producers, cinematographers, distributors, and actors from over 10 countries. The 4-day event is expected to screen 54 films. In Abuja, Ngozi Chude, NTA News.
Exploring the gold mine inherent in Nigeria's creative industries is the theme of the National Festival of Arts and Culture, NAFEST 2016, taking place in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, South Nigeria. Observers believe that the theme of the event seems to have been conceived deliberately in line with the urgent need to boost Nigeria's economy via innovations. Okwebayon takes a look at the theme of the 29th edition of the Cultural Fiesta.
NAFEST was established in 1970 after the end of Nigeria's civil war to foster national unity, coordinate, preserve, promote, and present the very best of the country's arts and culture, among other mandates. The festival is held annually and rotated among all states in Nigeria. As the center of focus for traditional arts, culture, and crafts in Nigeria remains in Uyo for the next 5 days, analysts believe that the theme for this year could not come at a better time than now.
We should actually start thinking
And our
of
special
how
guest,
to generate our own wealth,
Nigeria
even
is
from
making
within.
a deliberate
I know it
and
is tough,
structural
but it's not
innovation
impossible.
Busayo Akisoya is a graduate of economics from the University of Ibadan who produces adire, a trade she says has been running for years. She says through the business, she has been exploring the gold mine inherent, but it has not been without challenges.
I've done it beyond this Nigeria. We've been to Ghana, we've been to Côte d'Ivoire, we've been to Sierra Leone, and very soon we'll be going to the US for an exhibition in November by the grace of God. And it has brought a lot of things to it because when people buy from us, when they accept it, we can give back to the society.
The problem we have is in the area of information. Again, the issues of tourism is treated with levity.
How then can creative industries rise to unviable heights through the exploitation of the positive dynamics of Nigeria's heritage?
People like you that have the media that can expose or bring this thing to the average Nigerian to see. Because no matter how we try this thing, a lot of people will be passing on the street, they will look at these things as local things.
Stakeholders are also calling for the reorientation of Nigerians towards accepting finished goods made by Nigerians in Nigeria. This development, they say, will increase our GDP and bring us out of the present economic recession which we find ourselves in. From the NAFEST 2016 here in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, I am Oku Ekpayong, NTA News.
Thank you, Oku. Joining Lagos now, where Demola is waiting to bring us stories and manufacturers call for efficiency by government-owned companies. And more reports. Demola, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Paul. Good afternoon and welcome to Lagos. Allowing the private sector to own controlling shares in government-owned companies will bring about high level of efficiency and improved profitability. This was suggested by the president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Frank Jacobs, while addressing some stakeholders at a forum in Lagos. Abdullahi Mohammed reports.
If we look at LNG today, it is the most profitable company that federal government has a share in. And it is profitable because the company is run by the private sector.
Buttressing his assertion with the performance of the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Company, which is a government-initiated concern controlled by the private sector, the President Manufacturers Association of Nigeria maintained that reducing government stake in its businesses will guarantee sustainability.
Nigerian government should cut down its equity in some of the companies, especially those companies that are currently run exclusively by government, where government has majority shares.
These, he says, will also provide more resources which can be used in fixing critical infrastructure. In Lagos, Abdullahi Mohammed, NTA News.
In spite of reported decline in the mortality rate of cancer-related cases in developing countries, mortality rates in sub-Saharan Africa is on a steady rise. Experts attributed the trend to ignorance among the populace, late presentation of symptoms, as well as late diagnosis. Joy Ken Abakboya in this report takes a look at the prevalence of cervical cancer, the second leading cause of cancer deaths among women in Nigeria.
Cervical cancer is occurs when abnormal cells on the cervix grow out of control. Statistics show that the disease is one of the leading causes of death among the female population globally. In Nigeria, for instance, 14,000 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer yearly, while 26 women die every day from the disease.
The cause of cervical cancer still remains chronic infection with human papilloma virus. This virus can be transmitted is commonly transmitted through sex. Every sexually active woman is at risk of cervical cancer.
Like other cancers, cervical cancer rarely shows signs at an early stage, but experts listed abnormal bleeding, increased vaginal discharge, pain during sex, and pelvic pain as some recognized symptoms.
It is normal for a woman to menstruate. It is abnormal for her to menstruate in between her periods. It is abnormal to bleed after menopause. It's abnormal to bleed after sex.
Vaccination against human papilloma virus, which is available for girls, is said to be an effective preventive measure against cervical cancer.
It's important to note that it can be prevented 99% of times. We can have a generation free from cervical cancer if people are adopting safe sexual habits. Young girls are being vaccinated. Women are going for their pap smear screenings regularly. And if there's a lesion detected on pap smear, then appropriate intervention should be done to prevent the lesion from becoming.
In Lagos, Joy Ken Abapuya, NTA News.
Well, that's our contributions from Lagos. It's back to you, Paul, for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Demola. The federal government has provided foodstuffs to Borno State government for the upkeep of thousands of internally displaced persons spread across several camps in Maiduguri.
The assorted food items, which include 36,000 bags of rice, 28,000 bags of maize, 13,000 bags of beans, 3,000 bags of sugar, and 3,100 cartons of seasoning, as well as 2,100 jerrycans of cooking oil, are to be used for feeding of the IDPs for 2 months. Presenting the food items, Zonal Coordinator Neema Muhammad Kanar noted that the presentation was in accordance with the MOU signed between the federal and state governments, where Neema will provide food grains while the state government is to make available condiments.
We still have other food for the 16 local governments that are outside Maiduguri. But that one we don't follow it with the MOC procedure. But we also synergize with His Excellency directly.
He said food items made for areas outside Maiduguri that will last for 2 months are also ready, as NEMA has entered into partnership with the flour mills in maize grit and flour processing. Receiving the items on behalf of the Borno State government, Permanent Secretary Administration at the Governor's Office, Alkali Bulama, commended NEMA for its efforts in cushioning the hardship of the IDPs in the state. He promised the judicious utilization of the items. Alkali Bulama then handed over the food items to the State Emergency Management Agency for onward distribution to IDPs camps in Maiduguri. Maiduguri, Naomi Abu, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. You are watching Nationwide on the NTA. We'll now pause for some messages. The news continues shortly.
When has it reached this? Much less this. And this. And this. And this. Help reclaim our Commonwealth. Lend your support to the fight against corruption for a better Nigeria.
Now, you can hold that dream occasion without stress. Horizon Caterers will provide answers to all your catering questions. Exquisite hall designs, mouth-watering and nourishing local and continental cuisine, suitable for all types of ceremonies, including weddings, AGMs, business luncheon, cocktails. Name it, we can bring it. Our chefs and executive waiters give your guests that unforgettable experience in service. Our service covers all states of the Federation. Call us today to book your occasions. 0805-502-9637, 0803-450-9726, 0909-9708-111. Horizon Caterers, experience catering beyond the horizon.
Are you okay, sir?
Come and join me, have some drinks. I am Professor John Bull's younger brother.
They were drinking and drinking. Later, they started laughing and laughing.
And you kept on serving and serving and serving.
Is that not my job?
Oh, dear.
This week on your award-winning comedy series, Professor John Bull, starring Kanayo Okanayo, Mercy Johnson, Queen Wokoye, Funky Malam, Oguz Baba, Yomi Fash Lanso, MC for God, Stephen Odingbe, Junior Pope.
I am perfectly okay. Boniface, you don't look tired. You look dead.
Professor John Bull, fasten your seatbelts this Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 to 9 p.m. on NTA Network, International, and StarTimes. It's absolutely bombastic.
Over and out.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
The ETV National Children's Expo for Scientific, Technological and Artistic Inventions is in its 10th edition. We are set to make history again, live at the NTA Headquarters Arena, Area 11, Garki, Abuja, with the theme, Improved Technology and Impetus for Mechanized Agriculture, Renewable Energy and Economic Development of the Nation. Date, Sunday, October 23rd to Thursday, October 27, 2016, 9 a.m. each day. As usual, this event is open only to junior categories of ages 6 to 12 years and senior categories of 13 to 18 years in both arts, science or technology. Participants must be in the school system. Are you ready to be a part of the biggest gathering of Nigerian children with creative and innovative ideas? Note, all NTA stations nationwide are implored to complete their preliminary competitions ahead of the Abuja event in October.
Come to Sharon Ultimate Hotels, Abuja, the ultimate place to be.
Our latest edition of TV Guide is out. This edition of your favorite magazine will simply blow your mind. The package is loaded and our offering is quite illuminating. NTA has a new Director General, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, a tested and trusted professional, an old wine that keeps getting better with age. This is the new driver of the digital switch over train. Get to know him more in TV Guide. And now, on our cover is one of Nigeria's most finest comic actors, Afiz Oyetoro, aka Saka. Peep into his world and you will see how he is putting from glory to glory. The change agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari, we did an assessment so far. All our refreshing columns and incisive features are a collector's item and research materials. TV Guide, available on your newsstands and in all NTA stations nationwide. Also in our embassies in United Kingdom, USA, China, Ghana and Egypt. TV Guide, grab a copy and give one to a friend. TV Guide. Still your indispensable companion.
It's still NTA and it's still nationwide on the NTA network service. If the world must achieve primary education by 2030, there is the need to fill the teacher gap of 68.8 million at the primary and secondary levels. It formed part of the issues at the 2016 World Teachers' Day celebration in Abuja, with the theme, Valuing Teachers Improving on Their Status. Franca Uzomaolua has details.
Nigerian teachers celebrating the limitless contributions they make in the society as destiny molders. Yet, the teaching profession remains the most wanted but least regarded, as many teachers are undertrained, underpaid, and undervalued.
Many teachers still work with inadequate contracts and pay. They are sometimes victims of discrimination and even violent attacks.
I urge you to continue to be true representative of the ordinary teacher that is always in the classroom, sometime teaching under the tree.
The 2016 World Teachers' Day celebration, though low-key, provides opportunity for labor unions to make certain demands from the government.
If you size 99% of our leaders today, they have benefited from public education, which are free, which are of quality, and we know the standard of teaching then, and we know the position of teachers then. I think reverse is now the case.
How do we explain states where teachers are paid only in percentages? How do you describe a situation whereby teachers work meritoriously for 35 years, only for him to be denied his gratuity, his emolument and entitlement at the end of the day?
This year's celebration marks the 50th anniversary of the adoption of the UNESCO ILO recommendation on the status of teachers. As teachers celebrate their achievements globally, Nigerian teachers have urged governments at all levels to raise the status of the teaching profession by providing incentives in the form of appropriate salaries to create attractive career paths for them. Franca Uzoma Olua, NTA News.
The need for Nigerians to extend hands of fellowship to the families of the nation's fallen heroes was the thrust at the inauguration of the 2017 National Planning Committee for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa was there for NTA News.
The Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is an event organized by the federal government through the Ministry of Defense to honor fallen heroes who laid down their lives in service to humanity during wars, internal and external security operations.
The committee is to plan and execute all programs and activities of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day and culminating in the wreath-laying ceremony by Mr. President on Sunday, January 2017.
With the theme, Appreciating the Resilience of the Nigerian Armed Forces, the annual occasion is observed by Nigerians and members of the international community to demonstrate the love for those who paid the supreme price for the peace, unity and security of the nation. The 29-man member committee, drawn from critical stakeholders, has Brigadier General Garba Abdullahi as chairman. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Joining just now, the federal government tasked to improve learning in polytechnics. This and more as we join Ruth. Hello, over to you. It's good to see you, Ruth.
Good to see you too, Ogechi. Thank you and welcome to JOS. A 4-day training for senior public servants on strategies and approaches for effective health sector budgeting is underway at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru, Plateau State. Health correspondent Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju reports that the training is to equip participants on ways to plan and produce a robust health budget, particularly in this period of economic downturn.
The training is expected to critically do an overview of the 2016 health sector budget as regards its adequacy at the national, state, and local government level and its performance to date. Declaring the training open, the Bangwan Jos, Jacob Gambuba, called on well-meaning Nigerians to contribute judiciously to the sector, as a healthy nation, he says, is a wealthy nation.
Health policy and financing is key. We need to channel appropriate resources to this aspect and ensure that these resources are judiciously used.
In this era, where there is so much discussion in the public domain about the performance, efficacy, and transparency of the 2016 budget, this training is unique, as it does not dwell on the negative aspects of the 2016 budget, but seeks to build capacity for improvements in the 2017 budget cycle. This collaboration came out of a concern for bridging the gap between policymakers, policy implementers, and the end beneficiaries of government policies.
Recommendations are expected at the end of the training that will enhance an effective and efficient funding for the health sector in the year 2017 and beyond. The training is at the instance of the Development Research and Projects Center. Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, NTA News.
The federal government has been urged to urgently implement the recommendations of the needs assessment for optimal productivity of the nation's polytechnics. This was one of the concerns raised at the 50th National Executive and General Executive Council meeting of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Polytechnics, SANIP, hosted by the Plateau State Polytechnic, Birkin-Ladi. Priscilla Gumnan reports.
Declaring the meeting open, Plateau State Deputy Governor Professor Sonny Tioden, represented by the Director General Research and Documentation, Professor John Wade, said the hosting of the meeting in the state is an indication of the return of peace. He stressed that the Lalong administration will continue to live by its policy trust of revamping the education sector and looking into the welfare of its workforce.
Some of the issues that have been resolved and all are pending include payment of all backlog of over 8 months' salaries owed public servants, including staff in tertiary institutions.
National President Reverend Sunday Sabo said the meeting offers an opportunity for members across the country to strategize and discuss issues affecting polytechnics in Nigeria with a view to adding value to the sector.
I must confess here that when we came to Plateau State, the branch here properly briefed us of how the present government pulled them out of the stones and broken bottles they were standing on in Plateau State for a very long time.
Rector Plateau State Polytechnic Dauda German and Chairman Sani Plateau State Polytechnic Paul Dakogol emphasized the need for a cordial working relationship between the union, the polytechnic and government. In Jos, Priscilla Gumnan, NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. Ogechi, it's back to you.
Thank you, Ruth. Governor David Umahi has granted the yearnings of Ebonyi workers by increasing the salary of civil servants by 5%. He announced this during the 56th independence anniversary of Nigeria and 20 years of Ebonyi State creation. Chinaza John reports.
While announcing plans to rehabilitate and closely monitor the conduct of the 32 released inmates, Governor Umahi also reduced the sentences of another 14 inmates convicted of capital offenses to life imprisonment. On workers' welfare, the governor lifted the ban placed on promotion and recalled the over 80 sacked staff of the College of Education Ikwo, as well as the 37 staff of the proscribed Ebonyi State Environmental Protection Agency. Assuring his commitment in supporting the anti-corruption stance of the federal government, Governor Mahi promised to support any civil servant that shows commitment in agriculture with 200,000 naira loan.
Let me also announce the release of your promotions. Gratuity and pension for local government and state, which stands about 5 billion plus.
Stakeholders Stakeholders at the event, including the chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Ebonyi State Chapter, Comrade Ikechukwu Nwafo, lauded the steps being taken to revamp the economy of the state and immediately inaugurated an anti-corruption committee that will help the state government.
Is that only for releasing the promotions of Ebonyi workers? Ebonyi workers are happy with you. If you take your mind back to what Abakiri or Ebonyi used to be before the creation of this state, you will acknowledge that of the truth, God has been with us.
The event witnessed inspection of the Guard of Honor, march past by schools and non-governmental organizations, with the cutting of anniversary cake. In Abakaliki, Chinaza John, NTA News.
From one sharing news to another, as the Enugu State government approves fund for the rehabilitation of the strategic 9th Mile Oji River Road. For details and more, let's join Beauty in Enugu. Hello, Beauty.
A warm afternoon to you, Paul. Welcome to Enugu. The Enugu State Commissioner of Education, Professor Uche Eze, has reiterated the commitment of the state government to key into any program that will improve on the quality of teaching and learning in the state. Professor Eze stated this in a radio school summit organized by South Sahara Social Development Organization for school principals in Enugu. Yukeria Ugu will tell us more.
The Commissioner noted that the approval became necessary due to the hardship caused by the failure of the road and its effect on the economy of Enugu State and the Southeast. Council also approved contract for the provision of street lights in the major roads in Enugu North Senatorial Zone at about 523 million naira.
The Council again approved Nisken Logistics Limited as the agent to collect revenue for Enugu State government on quarrying of stone, mining of gravels, laterals, and sand.
Also approved by the State Executive Council was dialysis machine to be procured at about 50 million naira. About 300 million naira was also approved for the completion of Enugu State Medical Diagnostic Center. Council also approved the constitution and inauguration of the State Technology and Innovation Council, which is fundamental to the realization of the objectives of the Ministry of Science and Technology in Enugu, Ijomu, Gweke, NTA News.
We sincerely apologize for that report, as that was the Enugu Onitsha Dua carriageway being rehabilitated by the Enugu State government. The Enugu State Commissioner for Education, Professor Uche Eze, has reiterated the commitment of the state government to key into any program that will improve on the quality of teaching and learning in the state. Professor Eze stated this in a radio school summit organized by the South Sahara Social Development Organization for school principals in Enugu State. Yukeria Ugu has that report.
Which had as its theme empowering adolescent boys and girls through the power of radio, brought together stakeholders in the education sector. The Commissioner for Education pointed out that the radio school program will complement the efforts of the teachers.
I expect that we work very hard to execute maximally. They don't have the responsibility to do.
The Executive Director, South Saharan Social Development Organization, and the team leader, Mr. Brian Onwura, said the project was born out of the need to elevate the falling standard of education in the country.
The idea was to produce the lessons in a way that would give quality, it would make the lessons engaging and interesting and interactive for the students. When you have all these elements in place, then it means that the learning outcome will probably be better.
Some of the participants spoke to NTA News.
Well, the moment we get back to our schools, I, as a principal of a school, will try as much as possible to get my teachers involved.
The problem is that we have too many subjects like
that JS2 they're experimenting with has about 15 subjects. How are you going to combine the time to enable us create space for the radio program?
The radio school is targeted at JS2 students from Adamawa and Enugu states who will be required to listen and learn from modern lessons based on the national education curriculum delivered through the radio. Highlights of the event were distribution of radio sets to the principals in Enugu, Ikeria Ugu, NTA News.
And that's our beat in Enugu. It's back to you, Paul, for the completion of Nationwide.
Thank you, Beauty. The decision of consolidating on its recent success in the Edo State governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has commenced strategies to ensure a high level of voter turnout and a drastic reduction of violence during the forthcoming governorship polls in Ondo State. Olubukola Aduwo has details.
Addressing the stakeholders meeting on the implementation of voter education and publicity, Ondo State Resident Electoral Commissioner Olusegun Agbaje said that the meeting was to rub mind on effective mobilization strategies towards improving the outcome of election in the country and Ondo State. He urged stakeholders to do everything possible to support INEC in order to surpass the successes it recorded during the recently concluded Edo governorship election.
Ondo State people have been challenged. Ondo State INEC has been challenged. The stakeholders here have been challenged to ensure that we have a better election come November 26 this year. We just have no choice because we cannot afford to fail. We cannot afford to go back again. All that we need to do to ensure that we have a very peaceful, transparent, and conclusive election that people of this state will be proud of, we just have to start right now.
Some of the stakeholders advised prospective voters to participate actively by contributing useful and suitable ideas that will help the Commission to raise the percentage of voter turnout in the November 26 governorship election.
It's our duty to let the people know that the security agencies are ready to do their job to ensure that the election is free of violence.
We media practitioners, the critical roles we need to play in ensuring that the upcoming election is credible, is it free, and also has mass participation.
NTA as an organization, we are ready to support INEC in ensuring that about what they should do before, during, and after the election, so that at the end of the day, we'll have a free, fair, and involving election.
Meanwhile, voter education to the grassroots, as well as use indigenous languages for better understanding of its messages. In Akure, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
Minister of Science and Technology flags of Skills Acquisition Center in Birnin Kebbi. Let's now join Zainab in Sokoto for this and more. Hello.
And welcome. Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, says federal government is committed to use science, technology, and innovations to create new entrepreneurs that will stimulate the growth of small and medium-scale industries. Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports that the minister stated this at the graduation ceremony of entrepreneurs and flagging of Skills Acquisition Training Center in Birnin Kebbi.
A minister who lauded the vision of Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu to partner with the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology described the partnership as a collective effort to address the challenges of entrepreneurial development among Nigerians.
The governor, for his vision and his sense of purpose in partnering with the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology in our collective effort.
Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu announced that the state government will set up a biotechnological center soon and will continue to support entrepreneurs graduated from the center. The Director General National Board for Technology Incubation, Engineer Muhammad Jibril, expressed joy over the support and collaboration of the state government to develop entrepreneurship. Highlights of the occasion include the flag-off of the Skills Acquisition Program of 500 youth and women, presentation of gifts and certificates to 6 graduates, and inspection of innovation works, among other things. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Well, so much from that zone. There is now Global Tidbits with Ronke Kolawole.
In Ethiopia, the internet has been shut down without any official reason amid growing protest against the government. The government had recently accused opposition activists in the diaspora for conversing against it through the Facebook and Twitter. Away from Africa, the German police are investigating a couple who reportedly quarantined their son in their home in Bavarian town of Bayreuth for 30 years. The man, who is now 43, stopped attending school at the age of 13. Elsewhere, the United Arab Emirates has accused the Houthi rebels in Yemen of attacking a civilian ship on the Red Sea, describing the action as an act of terrorism which could have serious implications on freedom of navigation. The UN Security Council condemned the attack. In other news, thousands of people have been displaced in Haiti, while officials are still struggling to get to the worst hit areas to assess the damage caused by what could be described as the most powerful Caribbean hurricane in nearly a decade. Tagged Hurricane Matthew, it has devastated parts of the country, while 2 people have died. For Global Tidbits, Ronke Kolawole, NTA News.
Thank you, Ronke. And for sports update, Amanze Marcos reports.
The Abuja National Stadium will host the 16th edition of the Nigerian Army Games, holding from October 8 to 15. 7 Army formations will compete in 19 events, with water sports making its debut, but as a demonstration sport. This was the thrust of a media conference addressed by the Chief of Army Staff at the Army headquarters in Abuja midweek.
The scheduled sporting events will offer the Nigerian Army a platform to sustain and improve the cordial relationship between the military and the civil populace, and equally provide the opportunity to contribute its quota to national development in the areas of sports.
The 7 and 8 divisions of the Nigerian Army are exempted from the Games due to the ongoing military action against Boko Haram in the northeast, and 1,750 athletes will compete in the revived Games. Debutants Team Ofiku of Kaduna whitewashed Team Anambra 7 matches to 0 in a Week 4 match of the Nigerian Communications Commission Tennis League decided at the Onitsha Sports Club over 2 days. The best match of the tie lasted 2 hours 30 minutes, with Emmanuel Idoko beating Michael Chuma of Team Anambra 6-4, love 6, 6-3. The world heavyweight boxing champion Tyson Fury could lose his license after revealing he was taking cocaine. The 28-year-old British fighter said he is suffering from depression and claimed he had retired from boxing on Monday, only to retract his decision 3 hours later. Officials of the British Boxing Board of Control will meet on October 12, and the WBO and WBA can strip Fury of the title, declare the titles vacant, or he can vacate them. With sports updates, Amanze Marcus, NTA News.
Well, that's our package on Nationwide. Thanks for watching.